It started as one of those mornings where everything goes wrong. I overslept, missed my train, spilled coffee on my shirt during the Uber ride. My boss left 3 voicemails before I even opened my laptop. Emails stacked, deadlines loomed, and somewhere around 10 a.m., my head started pounding. I left the office under the pretense of grabbing a coffee. Not from the busy corner chain I usually hit. I just walked. A few blocks later, I saw it. A cozy little coffee shop tucked between 2 buildings I swear I'd never noticed before. Vintage gold-lettered signage on the windows read, "Ramona's Roast Established, 1969. It looked like it had been there forever. Ivy on the brick, window boxes of real flowers. The kind of place you imagine when you think of warmth. And it was warm inside. Dim lights, wood beams, mismatched chairs. No music, just the soft clink of cups. The barista smiled when I walked in. Not in a generic customer service way, but like she recognized me. "Hey there," she said, already turning toward the espresso machine. "Flat white with cinnamon, right?" That's what I always order. But I'd never been there before. I just nodded, surprised. The cup had my name on it, spelled right, and somehow it tasted better than any coffee I've had in months. I found a seat by the window. There were no outlets, no free Wi-Fi signs, but I didn't mind. It felt quiet, safe, like a memory I hadn't remembered until now. The people inside were soft-spoken, no phones out, just quiet conversations and the smell of fresh pastries. I sipped slowly, let myself breathe for once. Eventually, I pulled out my phone to check the time. 1:24 p.m. I blinked. That couldn't be right. I'd left the office just after 10. I was sure I hadn't been there more than 20 minutes. I double-checked. 3 missed calls, 12 emails, texts asking where I was. Confused, I got up and walked to the counter. The barista gave me a kind smile again. "You looked like you needed the rest." I mumbled a thank you and left, still trying to make sense of the time jump. The next day, I told my coworker about the shop. She shook her head. "There's no coffee shop between LaSalle and 4th. That's just a law office and a boarded-up lot." I thought she was messing with me, but I went back. The building was gone, just an old, fenced-off storefront. Broken windows, dust, no flower boxes, no painted sign, no smell of cinnamon and coffee. I checked Google Maps, no listing, no business license, no photos, nothing. Later that night, still unsettled, I tried searching by name, and I found it. A newspaper scan from 1974. "Fire destroys beloved Ramona's Roast Café." The photo was grainy, but I recognized the storefront. Same sign, same windows, same chairs, and in the background, the barista. Younger, but unmistakable. I can't explain what happened. Maybe I imagined it. Maybe stress got to me. Or maybe, just maybe. That cafe still opens sometimes for people who really need a break. I never found it again. But that cup of coffee, the warmth, the silence, the feeling of being seen, it got me through the rest of the week. Sometimes I walk those blocks again, hoping I'll see that gold lettering one more time, and if I ever do, I won't check the clock. I travel a lot for work. Hotels, airports, lobbies. They all start to blur together after a while. Last month, I stayed at a mid-tier hotel for a 2-day conference. Nothing fancy. Modern lobby, clean room, cookie-cutter art on the walls. I'd stayed at places like it 100 times before. But this one felt different. It started the first night. I was heading downstairs to grab a drink from the vending machine. The one on my floor wasn't working, so I figured I'd try another. I left my room, turned down the hallway, and walked toward the elevators. But the hallway just kept going. I passed 5, then 10, then 20 doors. All identical. Same wallpaper, same framed photo of a mountain lake. I stopped, looked behind me. No elevator, no stairs, just hallway in both directions. I kept walking. Eventually, I came to a painting I recognized. The same lake photo again. I was sure I had already passed it. I kept going. A few minutes later, same painting. Again. That's when I knew something was wrong. I pulled out my phone. No signal, no Wi-Fi. The clock on the lock screen said 12:14 a.m. I took a screenshot just in case. I turned around and walked the other way. Doors passed, lights buzzed, carpet pattern looped under my feet. Same painting. Again. I knocked on a few doors. No answer. I even tried a handle. Locked. All of them. The hallway began to hum faintly like the lights were working too hard. It felt warm, then cold, then silent. I dropped a pen from my pocket to mark where I'd been. A few minutes later, I passed it again. I wasn't moving forward or backward, just around. I started to panic. My phone still had no signal. I tried to call the front desk, but the call wouldn't connect. The hotel's app wouldn't load. My heart was pounding now. I leaned against the wall and closed my eyes, trying to breathe, trying to reset. Just one deep breath. When I opened my eyes, I was standing back in front of my room door, room 414. My pen was back in my pocket, and when I checked my phone, it said 12:17 a.m. Only 3 minutes had passed. The next morning, I went to the front desk, asked if there had been renovations or closed sections on my floor. The woman at the desk paused. "You're on 4, right?" "Yeah." "That's weird. We don't usually book that floor." She leaned over to whisper. "That section was closed after a pipe burst months ago. The hallway's sealed off past the elevator. Or at least, it's supposed to be." I nodded and thanked her. Didn't say anything else. I checked out that afternoon, even though I had one more night booked. I don't stay in unfamiliar hotels anymore, not without walking the whole floor first. And if I ever start seeing the same painting twice, I turn around. Because not every hallway leads somewhere. Some just loop until you forget where you started. I've always loved hiking alone. Something about being disconnected, out in the middle of nowhere, helps me think clearly. A few weeks ago, I planned a solo day hike in a remote part of a national park I'd never explored before. It wasn't marked on many maps, but I found it through a local hiking forum. Low traffic, lots of trees. Peaceful. Just what I needed. I arrived just before noon. The sun was high, the air crisp, and the trailhead was nearly hidden behind overgrowth. But it was there. I stepped over a few broken branches and started my walk. For the first hour or so, everything felt normal. Birds chirping, breeze through the trees, occasional squirrel darting by. Then it got quiet. Not like nature quiet. I mean dead quiet. No birds, no wind, not even the buzz of insects, just the sound of my boots against the dirt. And that's when I saw it. There, sitting perfectly centered on an old moss-covered stump, was a pocket watch. It was silver, slightly tarnished, and oddly pristine. No rust, no dirt, like someone had just placed it there. The hands weren't ticking, but it was open and perfectly clean. I looked around. No one. I hesitated, then picked it up. It was heavier than I expected. The moment I touched it, I felt weird, like the pressure in the air changed. My ears popped, and I got this overwhelming sense of déjà vu. I looked up. The sunlight was exactly the same. Same spot. Same brightness. Like time hadn't moved. I checked my phone. No signal. No time. The clock icon just spun. I figured it was just a strange coincidence. Maybe I was overthinking it. I stuffed the watch into my jacket pocket and kept walking. But the trail didn't feel right anymore. The trees started looking identical. I passed the same fallen log 3 times. I started leaving marks on the ground, only to see them again later, untouched. And the air? It stayed exactly the same. Same temperature. Same shadows. The sun never moved. After what felt like hours of hiking, I pulled the watch out again, still stuck. 12:14 p.m. I started to panic. I tried turning around, retracing my steps, but every direction felt the same. My legs were tired, my throat dry. But somehow I wasn't hungry. I wasn't sweating. I wasn't even tired. It was like my body had stopped keeping track. That's when it hit me. The moment I picked up that watch, I left. Somehow I wasn't in normal time anymore. I took the watch out, stood in the center of the trail, and placed it gently back on the stump where I'd found it. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the wind returned. The leaves rustled. I heard a bird call far off. I looked up. The sun had moved. Shadows shifted. The light was warmer now. I checked my phone. Signal returned. Time read, 12:36 p.m. Even though it felt like I'd been hiking for hours, I'd only been gone 20 minutes. I made it back to the trailhead quickly, faster than I thought possible. Before I left, I turned back once. The stump was still there, but the watch? Gone. I've hiked a dozen times since then, but I never go off trail now. And if I ever see anything at all, that looks too perfect, too out of place, I leave it exactly where it is, because sometimes what's lost isn't you. It's time. And once you touch it, it doesn't always let go.